Are you eagerly waiting for your Vermont state tax refund? We'll give you everything you need to track it down right now. Welcome to this comprehensive explainer. If you've already filed your taxes and you're just staring at your mailbox or maybe constantly refreshing your banking app hoping to see that deposit, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're taking the mystery out of the Vermont Department of Taxes tracking system. We're going to decode the timelines, translate all that bureaucratic jargon, and give you a really precise roadmap so you can find exactly where your money is. So, here is our game plan for today. We're going to start with a quick intro to Vermont refunds. Then, we'll get into preparing for your search, followed by the step-by-step process. After that, we'll explain the refund timelines, troubleshoots and common delays, and finally, go over support and additional resources. Let's jump right into Section 1, Intro to Vermont Refunds and Understanding How This Whole System Works. Okay, let's dive into this. Vermont operates within a highly progressive marginal income tax structure. Basically, that means the state requires some serious systemic precision to ensure public revenues are correctly accounted for and, more importantly for you, accurately distributed back to taxpayers. It's a massive administrative undertaking. The entire operation is managed by the Vermont Department of Taxes, and their primary gateway for pretty much everything you'll need is a centralized online portal called MyVTax. Whether you're filing a personal income tax return, a homestead declaration, or a property tax credit, this digital hub is where all the magic and, well, the waiting happens. But before we can track your refund, we kind of have to talk about how it actually gets into the system in the first place. You basically have two avenues, electronic filing or the old school paper route. Now, the state strongly, and I mean heavily, encourages e-filing. Why? Well, paper filing requires manual data scanning, which drastically increases the risk of math errors and processing delays. E-filing, whether you use commercial software or the state's free file program, boasts incredibly low error rates and a significantly faster turnaround time for your money. Moving on to Section 2, preparing for your search and exactly what you need to have ready. To get past the government's digital bouncer and protect your identity, you're going to need 4 specific pieces of information. This isn't just bureaucratic red tape, right? It's a highly necessary security protocol designed to prevent tax fraud. First, you need your Social Security number or ITN. Second, your last name. Third, your residential zip code. And fourth, and honestly, this is where most people trip up, you need the exact refund amount. For a standard personal income tax return, this has to be the exact dollar figure found on line 27 or line 29 of your Form IN-111. Not a rough estimate, not rounded up, the exact amount. But hey, before you run to your computer, stop. The system is not instantaneous. If you literally just clicked submit on your e-file, you've got to wait at least 72 hours before the MyVTax portal will even recognize you exist. And if you mailed a physical paper return, you need to wait a full 4 weeks before checking. Searching any earlier is just going to give you an error message and a whole lot of unnecessary anxiety. All right, Section 3, the step-by-step process for navigating MyVTax. Assuming you've waited the appropriate amount of time, you're ready to jump into the system. Let's move to and see how this builds your path to answers. Step 1, you'll want to navigate to myvtax.vermont.gov. Right there on the homepage, you're going to see a panel for returns. Step 2, select Check the status of your return. Step 3, choose your filing category, which is usually Personal Income Tax Return Status. And Step 4, enter those authentication details we just talked about. You'll actually have to type your SSN or ITIN twice just to confirm it. Hit search, and boom, you're in. Once you're in, you'll be greeted by one of a few specific system status indicators. If it says received, that just means your return has passed the initial gateway, or your paper envelope was finally opened. Processing means the system is actively running math verifications and cross-referencing your data. And if you see released, well, it's time to celebrate. That means your return has passed all audits and the payout file has been transferred to the state treasury for final distribution. Let's head into Section 4, Refund Timelines Explained. Or, simply put, when do I get my money? Now for the million-dollar question. Or, hopefully at least a few $100 question. When does the money actually hit your bank account? The gap between filing and funding depends entirely on how you filed. If you e-filed, whether you chose direct deposit or a paper check, you're looking at a 6 to 8 week processing window. However, if you chose to submit a paper mail return, that timeline stretches out painfully to 8 to 12 weeks. And remember, these timelines start from the day the state officially accepts the return, not the day you dropped it in the mail. So the crucial point is, the MyVTax portal does not update in real time throughout the day. Checking the portal at 9 a.m., noon, and 3 p.m. literally won't get you any new information. The database refreshes just once daily, Monday through Friday, between 4:30 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Save yourself the stress and just check once in the evening. Section 5. Troubleshooting common delays and why it might be taking so long. So, what if you're past that 8-week mark and your status just seems stuck? It's incredibly frustrating, I know, but a delayed refund doesn't necessarily mean you're in trouble. Often, it's just a bit of administrative or security friction. The most common culprits include early filing holds, identity theft screening flags, simple missing information or math errors on the paperwork, and legal debt offsets. Let's look closely at a couple of the most frequent surprises. If you're someone who proudly files on day 1 in January, you might actually be caught in the early filing reconciliation hold. While the state completely accepts early returns, they literally cannot finalize your refund until they cross-reference your return with your employer's W-2s and 1099s. Since employers have until January 31st to submit those, your early bird return just sits on pause until all that employer data finally catches up to it. Another major delay is the state's debt offset program. If you have outstanding financial obligations, like delinquent state or federal taxes, unpaid child support, or even defaulted student loans, Vermont law allows the state to legally intercept and redirect your refund to pay those debts. If this happens, your refund might be reduced or completely wiped out. But don't worry, it won't be a total mystery. The state will always mail you a written notice detailing the deduction and who exactly received the funds. Finally, Section 6, Support and Additional Resources, and exactly who to contact. If you've waited the full 12 weeks, checked the portal, and still have absolutely no idea what's going on, it's time to escalate. The Vermont Department of Taxes has dedicated lines for different issues to act as your safety net. For general individual income tax tracking, you're going to want taxpayer services at 802-828-2865. If the portal itself is glitching out on you, call MyVTax Technical Help at 802-828-6802 or just email them directly. Keep in mind their standard operating hours are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 7:45 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Notice I skipped a day there. They are generally closed for phone calls on Wednesdays. And this brilliantly illustrates a massive missed opportunity for next year. Did you know that historical data shows 65% of Vermont taxpayers are actually eligible to use the state's free file electronic software? But only about 5% of eligible filers actually use it. Using Free File gets your return into the system instantly, skipping all those paper delays entirely, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Now, if you absolutely must use paper, accuracy is everything. Make sure any paper return requesting a refund is mailed specifically to P.O. Box 1881 in Montpelier. Sending it to the wrong P.O. box places it in the wrong processing queue and delays it even further. Also, a really quick tip, once you finally get that physical paper check in your hands, you must cash it within 180 days, or it expires and you have to request a brand new one. Before we wrap up, I do need to remind you that this explainer is strictly for informational and educational purposes based on the published state guidelines. We're here to guide you through the system, but we aren't providing personalized legal or financial tax counsel. If you have complex tax liabilities or disputes, please make sure to consult a qualified tax professional. So that is your complete roadmap to tracking down your Vermont state tax refund. Knowing what you know now about the massive delays with paper returns, will you change how you file next year to get your money faster? Share your current timelines and tracking stories down in the comments. It really helps the rest of the community know what current wait times look like out in the real world. Thanks so much for learning with us, and we'll see you in the next explainer.